This afternoon is going to be a switch from this morning meeting. The people you're going to hear from are going to talk more about what's happening in our community and not so much about the topic in general. So you get to hear more about the impact of human trafficking in our own communities. So for the rest of the afternoon, you guys, we've got Kari Cordero at 12:15 to 12:45. Aaron Harper will be speaking at 12:45 to 1:15. We do have another break in there at 1:15. Again, if you need to use your phones, please feel free to leave at any time. Then we have a presentation at 1:30, and then our last presentation is a panel at 2:30. So it's pretty packed. We're going to keep it moving. And if anyone needs anything, please feel free to step out. The restrooms are to the left. There's also more in the restaurant if we need that. There's a water station in the back here if people need water. I know it's a little tight in here, but please feel free to go get the water. What am I missing? I think that's it. Okay, well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Kari Cordero.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. I tend to have a big mouth, or loud mouth. Probably a big mouth and a loud mouth. So if you can't hear me or if I'm too loud, please just let me know. So my name is Kari Cordero. I am the executive director of a fantastic agency, SART, which I will explain a little bit about. Shout out to my SART table. Great group of women doing really hard work. So I'm the executive director of SART. I'm also a psychiatric nurse practitioner and a sexual assault examiner. I've been a sexual assault examiner for 19 years, or almost 19 years, which means I graduated nursing school when I was like 15. Okay, we're just gonna stick to that story. I've always worked in mental health, and to work with victims of violence and victims of violence and in the mental health field, they just intersect all of the time. And so I always ask, like, why is this happening? And how did it happen, right? So you're gonna come with me along this journey. So a few years ago, so we have two exam teams at SART. So we do sexual assault forensic examinations, Napa, Solano, and Marin counties. And a few years ago, we did 2 exams on 2 women that were brutally murdered and believed to be trafficked. For me, after therapy, was like, where are the resources? What are we doing? How did this happen? We need to do more. And when I started to research this, I found that there was a huge gap in services from Sacramento to the Bay, Santa Rosa to Stockton. This huge area in the between where we had nothing. So me and my crazy ideas kind of forced our team to start working directly with human trafficking victims. We initially said, and so we work in all of these counties. We provide services, and so we are not necessarily like rooted in Solano County. We provide services in the entire area. Year 1, we said we would help 20 victims, 20 human trafficking victims. We doubled that. We just ended year 2 with 51. Okay? So as much as we want to think, this is not a problem here in Napa. This is not a problem in Solano County or anywhere else. I'm here to tell you it absolutely is. And so happy and honored to be able to work with these victims when they are ready. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. 60% of our victims are between 18 and 24. Our program is only adults, so we do not provide services for the CSEC population. However, as a sexual assault nurse examiner, as a child advocacy center in Solano County, we get them here and there, right? And so we help find resources, but don't necessarily case manage CSIC folks. Interesting statistics, 75% of this 91, 75% were in foster care or lost a parent during childhood. Right? That's where it starts. We know a lot of this happens in childhood, starts in childhood. So what is, I know you're gonna get more information on the penal code and all of that. Not a cop, not an attorney, don't wanna do that. But really human trafficking is the act plus the means for a purpose, right? So they're gonna recruit people. I'm gonna primarily talk about sex trafficking. We can service labor trafficking as well, but those 91 have all been sex trafficking victims for us. So recruitment, I'm gonna threaten, I'm gonna use force, I'm gonna kind of make it so you have to stay for the purpose of making money, for prostituting you, sexual exploitation, all of that. The big key is the control. When you cannot leave, when you cannot go home, when you are told exactly where you're going to be at all times, this is the key for human trafficking. Who is at most risk? I know Nola mentioned this morning. We know our homeless and runaway youth, our LGBTQI+ community, and children in foster care. Children in foster care are pulled out of their home for a reason, right? Physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, all of the things, right? And so we know there's already layers of trust, or layers of mistrust. Thank you, Karen. I was like, I'm not saying that right. Layers of mistrust, right? From family members, from parents, from siblings, from the system, right? We have heard so many horror stories out of foster care. And what we do know is that when equality exists and where certain people lack access to social protection and justice, human traffickers are able to thrive. We definitely saw an increase post-pandemic. Is that a thing? During the pandemic, people were not working, people needed money. We definitely saw an increase, right? I'm gonna try and play this video. Hopefully it will.
Oh, sorry, I'll give it back.
It's a little long, I might cut it off. But I think this is a really good portrayal. And if anybody has ever watched Soft White Underbelly, those videos are excellent. And I mean, real.
All right, Kat.
Yes.
Kat, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Southgate, Michigan, also known as like Downriver. That's what we called it.
South of Detroit.
Yeah.
Tell me about your family growing up.
My mom was a single mom. I have a sister. I have a sister that passed away when my mom was pregnant with me. And my mom was in a domestic violence situation with my dad. She ended up leaving him when he got another woman pregnant. And I lived with her primarily after that. She got married a few times and like we moved around a lot. And there wasn't a lot of stability. And I never really clicked with my stepdads in any capacity. So I think from a very young age, I was always seeking like male affection. Like my first kiss was super young. I think I was like 8 or something. And then I had sex at like 11 for the first time. It was like a boyfriend. It was like a healthy experience, as healthy as it can get for 11. But my mom wasn't home often, and she'd sent me to live with my aunt and uncle for a while because they had like a traditional nuclear family. So she thought I would be better off with them because they had money and like stability, so she thought. And then my cousin got pregnant at 15, and they kind of like told me I had to leave because like I was the reason all the guys were coming around, and they wanted me to like go back to my mom. So I went back to her, and that's kind of when shit hit the fan. She was never home, so I went from having like all these extracurricular activities, like I was showing horses and like doing all these things, and back home there was nothing. Like I was just by myself a lot. I'm super emotional and affectionate, so again, I like really needed like feedback, emotional feedback. So I sought that out. I started running away to Southwest Detroit, and then ended up dropping out of traditional high school and going to alternative high school, which got the ball rolling even more because the whole group of kids at that school they were all doing like bad stuff. So I started out in Southwest Detroit, hanging out with this family that was extremely dysfunctional, and that's when I started like trying drugs. And I went to like this house, this guy named Tino, he was like a Latin count or something, like a gangbanger. And we walked in and there was like cocaine from the floor to the ceiling, like bundles, like filled his entire house. That was the first time I tried cocaine. And then I like wasn't into like that like vibe, I guess. Like Mexican, I was always attracted to black guys, so I ended up going further out into the city, like the west side, and running away there by myself. Like just got on a bus and went down there and ended up meeting this girl. Her name was Veronica. I don't know if that's her real name, but she kind of like took me under her wing and was really nice and let me stay with her and her boyfriend Apollo. And it was a weird situation. So we like all slept in the same bed, but nothing ever like happened. And me and her would like walk around, and I remember like that's kind of when I got the first taste of like Detroit. Like dudes would like drive by and like try to holler at you, and you would decline, and they would like spray you with water guns filled with piss. So that was a thing. That happened more than once. And I made friends with like all these people that I thought were cool, and like we'd sit and smoke and talk, and like there's like Belle Isle in Detroit, which was like super popular at the time. Like all the parks in the summertime, like you just go there like with groups of people and drink, and like they play music, and everybody has their like cars all like. So yeah, we did that for a while, and then that's kind of when things shifted. I was told like, oh, this guy James is looking for you. He really wants to talk to you. I was like, okay, like, who is it? And I was at this Coney Island on Grand River, and I remember him walking in. He looked really nice, very like smooth walk. I know it's like weird to say, but he wasn't walking like somebody that I would like, because I knew how to like identify men that were more aggressive just by their like energy, and he didn't have that energy at all. So he offered to buy me chili fries, and he bought me chili fries, and I ate them, and he was nice. So he was like, you can come stay with me, like I'll help you get on your feet and take care of you. Like I have a few other girls that are staying with me, and you know, you guys would get along really well. And I was just like, okay, like I had no idea that there was like even like pimp culture. That's how like far removed I was. So he took me there, and then he was like, I walked in and there were like girls sitting in the living room doing their makeup, like chit chatting, like they were like friends. And it was just like, oh, this is cool. Like, why are they all white? That's like the first thing. And they're all young. I was 14 at the time. So like they were all pretty close in age. And they didn't say anything bad about him. They didn't warn me. There was no like, this is what this is. It was just sort of like I got eased into it. And he like bought me clothes, and he bought me food. And then the day things like changed with him, I was wearing this like denim jumper. It was like shorts with like buttons down the front. Like you couldn't take the shorts off without unbuttoning the whole thing. And I was like going up these stairs, and he like stopped me on the stairs. He was like, well, I have to test you out before you start like paying me back for everything that I bought you. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I just bought you all these clothes, like I bought you makeup, like what do you think, I'm just gonna do that for you for free? Like, you're not gonna pay me back? And I was just like, don't know what to say. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll give it back. Like, and that's the switch flipped for him. Like, his eyes like changed, and his eyebrows like did this thing whenever he got like serious or you knew that it was like gonna be an issue. And he like, that's the first time he like sexually assaulted me. It was on the stairs. So after that,
Let's stop right there. Started with cheese fries, right? How do I get this back in the presentation? I think that's right. Rough childhood, back and forth, right? Sounds like mom was, and I'm not saying this is blaming, but mom had other things going on, right? She's kind of shuffled from house to house, finds this dysfunctional family to be with. Like, we can see how this happened, right? So this guy absolutely targeted her, right? She's hanging with friends or in this dysfunctional crowd. Here, let me buy you some cheese fries. Let me buy you some clothes. Like, he absolutely knew what he wanted her for, right? Gaining her trust. I'm gonna buy you this. I'm gonna get your nails done. Oh, you want some lashes? Let's go get your lashes done, right? I'm gonna be your friend at first. I'm gonna take care of you, right? Oftentimes, because people haven't taken care of the victims we serve, right? I'm gonna get your needs met. I'm gonna give you clothes and food, and then I'm gonna keep you from everybody, right? I'm not gonna let you hang out with your friends. You're not gonna be able to talk with your family. They're not good for you. I'm gonna badmouth your family, right? And then I'm gonna start assaulting you. I'm gonna hold you accountable, or I'm gonna hurt you into submission, right? I know this is really hard to listen to, but let's just be honest. People who traffic other humans are master manipulators, right? People who harm children are master manipulators. They absolutely know what they're doing. They are looking, sexual violence, human trafficking, these are crimes of opportunity, right? These people are being picked out. And we recently had a victim, her pimp, 80 years old. I was shocked. 80 years old. He's been doing this his whole life. Another victim, it's a family business, right? These folks are targeting people. Some common things. Seeing that I've been doing sexual assault exams since I was like 15, I have heard, I just had a great conversation last week with another healthcare professional who works in the emergency department, and she was like, I can tell when they're lying, when the girls that come in for SART exams are lying. I said, oh, you can? How do you do that? And it was a good discussion. I wasn't clowning or anything. But she's like, I can just tell. And I was like, well, I find I tend to have a different point of view. I've yet to meet a woman that can't wait to have a GYN exam. Okay, don't raise your hand if you're the one, because you're going to be the only one in this room, right? Like, who would want to go through this exam? Who would want to tell a stranger all of these secrets, right? For human trafficking victims, it's even worse, right? They don't trust us. I'm happy to tell you, out of the 91, 10 are out of the life. And that's a double-digit number that I'm super proud of. And this team should be super proud of, right? Because most will not stay. Most will go back for fear of being dead, right? This is the reality. We had a girl, 19 or 18, just turned 18, had been trafficked since she was 13, and damned if she does, damned if she doesn't, right? Was trying to work to get his bail money because he was arrested, right? And it was just, and she knew, if I don't go back, I'm dead. but quite possibly if she goes back, she's dead, right? I think because of sexual violence, human trafficking, it brings up a lot of key feelings for us, right? We don't like to talk about it. I'm just gonna pretend it doesn't happen because I don't like those emotions that I have inside. And so then we do a lot of victim blaming. Well, what was she doing? Why wasn't she home before curfew or whatever, right? And so I wanted to bring that up just because to understand why we do it, right? But also, I think the most important thing we can do, so End Violence Against Women International, they have this wonderful campaign that's 10 years old now, Start by Believing, right? If somebody told you they were in a car accident, you would not think twice. Why are we thinking twice about sexual violence? Why are we thinking twice about human trafficking, right? So how can you help? We have a 24-hour crisis line. Write this number down, take it down. You can give it to victims, you can give it to service providers. We will absolutely help you. We will help the victims. I think that's real time happening in this community. The SART agency, I think I'm done. I hope I didn't go over. I might be right on time.